Deborah, I sent you a message. You can let people in now.
So we're going to begin with Martovu this morning, but first Ben, our bar mitzvah boy, is going to walk in. So to just say that we begin on page number 3 of our special bar mitzvah siddur, and then a little more about the service in a moment. let's sit down. This bodes well for a service where Dean's already getting people to dance in the aisles, right? So this service is going to be full of joy. A really warm welcome to all the Abrahamson and Stellman clans here to celebrate Ben's bar mitzvah, to our own members here within the sanctuary, and those of you at home, those of you around the world in South Africa joining us. We are incredibly proud of our Ben. We're at the beginning of our service, page number 3. In our minhag, our tradition in our synagogue is that the bar mitzvah will lead much of the service. But for now, we have the blessing over Torah study to busy ourselves with Torah. And then Ben's uncle from South Africa will share a piece of Pirkei Avot with us over the airwaves. We won't see him here, but we'll hear. And as a blessing, a piece of learning to mark Ben's bar mitzvah. So over to you, Michael, if you unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having us at your service. We are really sorry on behalf of Tessa and myself that we can't be with you in person, but I thought that we would choose a pasuk from Pirkei Avot that has some sort of meaning for our bar mitzvah boy today. So Benjamin, I've chosen for you a specific passage, and it goes as follows. In Hebrew, it's Hakol Tzafoi v'hoshut netuna uvetuv ha'olam nadon v'hakol lefi rov ha'maaseh, which translates as, everything is foreseen, yet the freedom of choice is given. The world is judged with goodness, and everything depends on the abundance of good deeds. Benjamin, we'd like to say to you, as a tribute to that particular message, that you continue to live every day in your life with this message in your heart. You are the oldest of your generation in the Abrahamson family, and you carry the name forward. And it comes with a big responsibility, but it also comes with a lot of pride. And we know that you will perform wonderfully today when you read your Maftir and Haftarah in a short while. The pasuk from Pirkei Avot says that the freedom of choice is given. And in your life, you will have the opportunity to make lots of choices, both good and bad. Our wish for you is that if you do make bad choices along the way, that you learn from them. But predominantly, we have faith in you that you will make good choices in your life, and your life will also be an abundance of good deeds, as the pasuk says. And when you do good deeds for other people, they will do good deeds back to you, and you will cement wonderful relationships going forward. So our wish for you from South Africa, from Tessa and myself, is to say to you, make good choices in your life and perform good deeds every day, as we know you will, and you will be an absolute mensch, and we'll be proud of you carrying the name forward. Mazal Tov, have a wonderful bar mitzvah.
Thank you so much, Michael and Tessa. Elohai Neshama, page 5. Baruch Shema v'haya ha'olam baruchu, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hamchulal b'fi amo meshubach umfa'ah b'shon chasidav v'avadav, b'shvachot u'vizmarot, nagadelcha v'namlichecha, malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, melech mechulal b'tishbachot. Just as Dean leads us in Psalm 96, a reminder that although interpretive dance is completely allowed, we are not able to sing yet in our sanctuary, so we have to resist the temptation to join in, but you are able to read and read with Ben and I when we lead prayers.
Yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai mai mai. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ירח הים ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ירח Yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai.
Anim zamirot v'shirim erog, ki elecha nafshi ta'arog.
Anim zamirot v'shirim erog, ki elecha nafshi ta'arog. Nafshi chimda b'tzel yadecha ladat korasodecha. Midei dabri bichodecha,
Let's stand together, those of us here in the synagogue, for Yishtabach as we move into the Baruch Hu.
Yishtabach Shimcha Lad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VaHaKadosh B'Shamayim u'Va'aretz. Ki lecha na'e Adonai Eloheinu, V'Elohei Avoteinu. Shir u'shvacha, Halel v'zimra, Brachot v'hodaot, Me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, Habocher b'shirei zimra. La 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 la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzei or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hame'er la'aretz v'ledarim aleha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit, ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mela ha'aretz kinyanecha v'titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, v'yamorei or she'asita, yefaruch ha'sela. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzei hamorot. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. Baruch atah Adonai, habocheh b'yamo Yisrael, b'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha, v'chayu hadavarim ha'eleh, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha, b'derech u'v'shochbaha u'v'kumecha, u'keshatam le'ot al yedecha, v'hayu letrotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sharecha.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Okay, can you please sit down? True and beautiful and good, sound, established and enduring are these words, now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You have redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you this song.
Micha
חדשה. שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו.
Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Zu Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo. Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo. Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Please stand. We are now on page 13.
Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tiftah. Ananananana Ufi Agid. Ufi Agid. Tehillateh.
Adonai Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tahilatecha. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanova El Elon, Omel Hasadim Tovim Ve'Koneh Hakol Ve'Zocher Hasdei Avot Ve'Imachot, Mevigi Ula Livnei V'Nehem Lema'an Shemot Be'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshi A Umagen. Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atah Vrav Le'Hoshia Mashiv Haruach Umovid Hageshem Majriach Hashemesh Umovid Hatal.
Mechalgel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh Beitim Barachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Vroflech Olim Umatir Asurim Umakayem Emunaton Lishenei Afar Mi Chamocha Al Gevurot
האימן, אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו.
כבודו מלא עולם.
ברוך כבוד אדוני
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, דור ודור, הללויה. דור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. דור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. בשבתך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול, הקדוש ברוך הוא. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש.
Please be seated. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת.
Lord and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. Modim anachnu lach, Shi ata hu Adonai Eloheinu velohei avotenu leolam vayed. Sur chayenu magen yeshenu atahu ladovado. Nodeh lecha unasaper tahilatecha. Al hayenu hamesurim beyadecha. Vian nishmotenu hapakudot lach. Vian nisecha shebachol yom imanu. Vian nifleotecha vetovotecha shebachol et. Erev vavocher vetzo chorayim. Baruch ata Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'el lehudot.
Shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim shalom. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Chin lach chesed, chin lach chesed v'rachamim. Chin lach chesed. Shalom, Tova uvracha. Sim shalom, Tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom.
Baruch ata Adonai oseh hashalom. Please take time for silent prayer.
Abrahamson, Irevi. Ayant libi, lefanecha, Adonai turi, begoali, Adonai turi, begoali, l'ratson, irevi. Ayant libi, lefanecha, Adonai turi, begoali, Adonai turi, begoali. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Adam. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel.
Kol hakavod to Ben for leading us this far. We're on page 20 as we go to the reading of the Torah, the heart of our service, and Ben helping us to do so. Let's stand together. Assemble the people, the men and the women, the little ones, the stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear and that they may learn and revere the eternal God, and observe and do all the words of the law.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Yadlu l'Adonai iti onoramama shomo yachdav.
Echad Adonai Hagdula v'Hagdura v'Hatiferet v'Hanizak v'Haod Yifal b'Shamayim u'ba'aretz. Echad Adonai ha'mamlacha v'Hamitnaseh b'chol
So throughout these extraordinary 16 months, we have continued to read from Torah, sometimes when we've been able inside our synagogue from the actual scroll, sometimes from home, but all the way through, Torah has guided us and we have been able to use it and learn from it. And today, Ben does that for us. I'm going to ask you to sit down once the Torah comes over. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. So Ben is reading from one of the precious scrolls that were rescued from former Czechoslovakia after the war, 1564, brought here to London. And we as a community have 3 of them. And our B'nai Mitzvah children enjoy honoring these scrolls and the connection they offer by reading from them. So many years ago, a bar mitzvah would come up, would bless the Torah only, would have a glass of schnapps at Kiddush, and that would be his bar mitzvah. But not so ours at Finchley Progressive now, who have the wonderful teaching of John Rubenstein, our bar mitzvah magical tutor, and learn to lead us in prayer, to come to the Torah, to come up and bless it on the moment of their bar mitzvah, to let us hear its words, expound its meaning, give us a translation so it's meaningful to us as 21st century Jews, so all of it has some meaning and resonance in our life. So I am delighted, Benjamin, to call you up now. Ya'amod, bar mitzvah, Benjamin Yehuda ben Ilan Yitzchak uShulamit likrat haTorah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Firstly, I want to thank everyone for being here today and celebrating my bar mitzvah with me. It's wonderful to see so many of you with us in these difficult times. Even though COVID has kept us apart, celebrating my bar mitzvah has enabled me to connect with family and friends around the world. I'm grateful that my dear family are here with me, but equally saddened that my paternal grandparents were not spared to be with us today. A bar or bat mitzvah is when a boy and a girl who are 13 come of age and have a celebration. Bar mitzvah for boys and bat mitzvah for girls. And some people have a b'nai mitzvah. Before you get to celebrate, it is usual that you have to read a portion / parashah in Hebrew from the Torah and lead the community in prayer. When I was younger, I used to watch my dad leading service and always hoped I would do the same when I was older, and now I am 13. The moment has come and I am able to do it. Having a bar mitzvah is important to me as I get to celebrate becoming a young adult in the Jewish community. It is important as I am continuing my family's long tradition of having a bar / bat mitzvah, both in South Africa for my dad and uncle and my mum's family here in FPS, where lots of my cousins have had theirs. Actually, some have been blessed as babies here too, and even been married, but I am happy with just having my bar mitzvah today.
As we are. Then just take this off completely.
My portion is Devarim, which is the first portion of Deuteronomy, the last book of the Torah. Whilst many of my friends chose to postpone their bar / bat mitzvah services, this has always been my date, and I've always been preparing for Parashat Devarim on the 17th of July. My portion is about Moses, reminding the children of Israel of the long journey they have taken to get to the Promised Land, which they are now about to enter. Moses has to reassure them and tell them not to be afraid of the other people they will meet. Moses blesses the people with God's blessing and reminds them that God has been there for them throughout their journey. They had everything they needed, and so Moses reminds them to trust in God. The Israelites are afraid. They are afraid that they won't get their freedom. even though they have travelled so far. Moses says they don't need to worry about the struggles of life, and God would always be there for them. He reassures them and says that they will get their freedom. This makes them feel better, as the information is coming from someone so wise and who believes in all of them. With Corona and other bad things happening in the world, this portion comes in handy, as it reminds us to focus on the good things rather than the bad things in life, remembering what has gone well for us in a good exercise. I feel grateful to have a good family and friends, and to be able to have all the things I have and do the things I love because of my family. I have chosen as my B'nai Mitzvah Tzedakah project to support WWF. I have chosen this project because I don't like to see animals suffer, as animals have a right to live comfortably on this earth like humans. Animals, like the rhinoceros going extinct, might be prevented if we did more. WWF raises money to help, and I am happy to help. Being Jewish matters to me, as it is my religion. It defines me and makes me who I am. It sets rules to live by and makes me feel part of a bigger community. Being Jewish is not only about doing things better, but about doing better things. My parasha offers a message about being Jewish. It says that Jewish people never give up and will keep going and persevere even if the journey is difficult, and that is why it matters to me. My family are all Jewish, and I'm honoured I get to follow in their footsteps and be part of the community like my ancestors at FPS.
Yeshar Koach. Beautiful. I think you've just found our new branding line. Being Jewish is not only about doing better things, not about doing things better, but about doing better things. So thank you for that, Ben. So you all have a Torah scroll that allows you to follow Ben. Let's just see if we...
Baruch Adonai Hamavora.
Baruch Adonai Mvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Vayed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Vanafen vanisa Hamid bara derech Yamsuf. Ka asher diber Adonai elai vanasov et ha se'er yamim rabim. Vayomer Adonai elai lamo. Rav lachem sov et ha hazer penu lechem safona. Ve'et ha'am sav lemo etem ovrim bigvol achechem v'nei esav hayoshvim bese'er v'yo michem v'nishmatem me'od. Al titgeruvam ki lo etain lechem me'itam ad midrach kaf regel ki Yerusha le'esav natati et ha se'er. Ochel tishberu me'itam bekesev v'achotam v'gam mayim tikru me'itam bekesev ushtitem. Ki Adonai Elohecha b'rechacha b'chol me'aseh yedecha yada lechtecha et hamidbar hagadol hazeh. Ze arba'im shena Adonai Elohecha imach lo hasata davar. Vana avo me'et ahinu v'nei esav hayoshvim bese'er miderech ha'arava me'elat u'me'et zion gaver. Vana fen vana avo derech midbar Moav. Vayomer Adonai elai al totza et Moav. V'al titkabam milchamach ki lo etain lecha me'aso ad Yerusha ki livnei lot natati et ar Yerusha. And we marched back into the wilderness by way of the Sea of Reeds, as the Eternal had spoken to me, and skirted the hill country of Seir a long time. Then the Eternal said to me, "You have been skirting this hill country long enough, now turn north." and charge the people as follows. You will be passing through the territory of your kinsmen, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir. They will be afraid of you. Be very careful not to provoke them, for I will not give you of their land so much as a foot can tread on. I have given this hill country of Seir as a possession to Esau. What food you eat, you shall obtain from them for money. Even the water you drink, you shall procure from them for money. Indeed, the Eternal your God has blessed you in all your undertakings. God has watched over your wanderings through this great wilderness. The Eternal your God has been with you this past 40 years. You have lacked nothing. We then moved on, away from our kinsmen, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir, away from the road of the Arabah, away from Elath and Ezion-Geber, and we marched on in the direction of the wilderness of Moab. And the Eternal said to me, do not harass the Moabites or provoke them to war, for I will not give you of their land, any of their land as a possession. I have assigned Ar as a possession to the descendants of Lot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'hayeh olam nata betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. So just before we raise the scroll, we're having a switching of personnel on the bima to remain safe. So if I can ask you to go down while Matt, I believe, is coming up. Oliver, you could stay and you can dress the Torah scroll with Matt. So we're just going to hop off here, take the yard, ready to point. Yeah? With us. I'm just going to give you some of this, just to stand. Very heavy on the right. Just delicate. Okay. When you're ready, dude.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato.
To sit down as Ben takes us over to his Haftorah.
My Haftarah comes from the prophet Isaiah. It is a famous piece used in the month of Av, leading up to the solemn fast day of Tisha B'Av, and the day we remember the destruction of the temple. Isaiah lets everyone know how angry God is with Israel. God's angry because they don't care about others. It's fun reading the words that God hates the sacrifices, festivals, and fast days if the poor are ignored and the orphans are neglected. The people are accused of having blood on their hands. In other words, they need to change their ways and be kinder. Only after they are told off does Isaiah promise redemption for all and promises God's return to the people. Zion, which is Israel, will only be redeemed by justice. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bara b'nviim tovim v'ratzav v'divrahem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uveMoshe avdo uveYisrael amo uveNviei ha'emet v'tzedek. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, that he beheld concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth, for the Eternal has spoken. I reared children and brought them up, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner, and the ass its master's stall, but Israel does not know. My people do not consider. Ah, sinful nation, a people weighed down by iniquity, brood of evildoers, destructive children, who have forsaken the Eternal, despised the Holy One of Israel, estranged themselves from God. Why invite yet more beatings, that you continue your rebellion? The whole head is sick, the whole heart is ill. From head to foot, nothing is sound. Injuries, bruises, fresh wounds, not dressed, nor bound, nor softened with oil. Your land is desolate, your cities are burnt down. Strangers consume your land before your eyes. It is desolation like Sodom overthrown. Only fair Zion is left. She is like a booth in a vineyard, like a hut in a cucumber field, like a city under siege. I hate your new moons, your festival days. They are a burden to me. I can bear them no more. When you stretch out your hands, I will avert my eyes from you, however much you pray. I will not listen, while your hands are filled with blood. Wash yourselves, cleanse yourselves, put your evil doings away from my sight. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Relieve the oppressed. Uphold the orphan's rights. Take up the widow's cause. Come now, says the Eternal One. Let us reason together. Though your sins be scarlet, they can become as white as snow. Though they be dyed crimson, they can become like fleece. If you are willing and obey, you shall eat the good things of the earth. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the Eternal One has spoken. And I will restore your judges as in the beginning, and your counselors as in days of old. And then shall you be called righteous city, faithful town. Zion shall be redeemed by justice, and its repentant people by righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zu kol ha'olamim tzaddik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber u'mekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'neviim v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Yesha Koach, Ben, truly. So with a slightly COVID-changed choreography of the Torah service, I am going to ask Alice, I think, aunt of the Bar Mitzvah boy, to come up to share the community blessings. If you're able, stand with us. And we are going to keep the scroll out for a tiny bit longer. So Alice, I'm going to let you read from here. Thank you.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless this holy community with all holy communities. May the Holy One grant blessing and success in all the work of their hands, with all Israel, their brothers and sisters. And let us say, Amen. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with a faithfulness to the aim of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Amen. So, Matt, I'm going to ask whether you, as uncle of the Bar Mitzvah, might not mind just sitting for a moment more holding the scroll. And just before we put the scroll away, thank you so much, Alice, I'm going to let you actually, Ben, just sit with your parents for a moment. Thank you. Just before we put the scroll away and ask the family to come up and to allow us to pass the scroll. Let's sit down for a moment. We are reducing, minimizing the handling, the passing, the opening and closing of the ark, so that we can still be here and have this Kriyat HaTorah, reading of Torah, but do so safely. So I am so struck by the layers of history, time and space continuum being so present here this morning. This is a family, the Stellman family, that the you three sisters that I know and have done so much with, and the wider clan that I have passed through and acknowledged and marked moments in your lives as well. We say that at a bar mitzvah there is a river of tears flowing. Straight this river of tears began in Jerusalem, moving out to the diaspora of Jewry around the world. Today we really feel those river of tears flowing through Johannesburg all the way to London and so many places in between. The river of tears is not salty only, it is sweet tears of joy and pride, as Ben's voice lifted and our tears, no doubt, mingled a little bit with the notion of joy for the day. Connections to the past, to the present, alongside each other. I'm seeing you all as a family gathered here together. Judaism does this. It highlights the moment. It allows us to pause when we reach something that is meaningful for us. Tomorrow, as Ben reminded us, is considered in the Jewish calendar the saddest day of the year, the most solemn. Not even Yom Kippur competes with with the solemnity of this grief and mourning day of remembering not just the destruction of the temple, which means less to us as progressive Jews that see that as a moment of change, but just all loss and sadness and suffering that is considered to be like a magnet drawn to this day. But today is also the day before, for this family, an achievement, a blessing, a coming together in joy. And we know as individuals, if there is anything that we have learned these past 16 months, is that nothing lasts forever. Not feelings of grief and sadness, nor feelings of happiness. We are all caught up in the cycle of life. And today, Benjamin, your bar mitzvah, Erev Tisha B'Av, reminds us that nothing stays the same, and that we get caught up with moving towards each new moment in our life. Families grieve and celebrate closely together, sometimes even at the same time, and we are reminded of that river of tears that constantly flows as we mark these moments together. That's what this whole past year has been about, managing it all together, ready to move on together as well. Benjamin, you read so beautifully from that our first portion of Deuteronomy. And in the first chapter, we see God speaking, saying, Eloheinu diber aleinu b'chorev lemor rav lechem shevet bahar hazeh. God spoke to us at Mount Horeb saying, you've stayed here long enough. It is time to move on. And maybe that's what you have ushered in for us this morning, Ben. A sense and a reminder that things move and change all the time. And you have given not only your extended family, but us in the synagogue. We talked about this date all the way before knowing that the pandemic would have any sense of a power in our lives. And here we are, you reminded us, Parshat Devarim, 17th of July, that you have been working towards. Here in this building, in this synagogue, where your family trod these steps before on all sides of your family. Your mother coming from here, this synagogue, with her two sisters, your aunts connected, as you said, baby blessings, weddings, thank goodness just for today, you said, a bar mitzvah just for you. We read this tiny piece that reminds us that in every community, leaders are called. Who are they? They are leaders whose names are known. And it reminds us that that is all we want in the world. We want to know where we're going. We want to know that time moves. And we want to know that we belong and are recognized. You chose to have your bar mitzvah in the synagogue where you are recognized, your family and you now, your classmates, your teacher who adores you and has loved teaching you, I know, that sense of truly belonging. So it is in this moment of time and space continuum of this synagogue, of looking back and forward, of what happens tomorrow in the Jewish calendar, of this moment of joy that you bring us, even as members of the family mark different occasions. This is the one moment that you've given us for joy. So Ben, I'm going to ask you to come up ready to lead us in the bar mitzvah prayer with your family. So I'm going to ask your mum and dad to open the ark. I'm going to relieve your uncle, Matt, who is now part of the bar mitzvah party up here, as I take the Torah scroll back from you, ready. So yeah, if you open, Oliver, you too, you are part of the family.
In the presence of this congregation, which represents the Jewish people all over the world, I give thanks for what I've learnt of my Jewish heritage and promise to go on studying it in the years ahead. So may I come to understand ever more deeply and carry out more fully the duties that flow from it. I think of all of those who, in past ages, have preserved the Jewish faith and declared their loyalty to it, as I do today. I thank my parents and my family my teachers and my friends, and all who have helped me to reach this day. And I pray to God, guide me and keep me strong, so that I may fulfill the high hopes that rest on me.
Oh man, somehow when you say it Ben, we really believe it. That commitment in your voice. So I'm going to take that back, and now I'm going to pass the Torah scroll to your mother, who will pass it to you as you stand next to your father. Whenever you're ready, dear.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Benjamin, on behalf of us, we'd like to wish you a Mazal Tov. You have done us all very proud. And as Uncle Mike said this morning, what is the name? And your name means son of my right hand. And it's a really important thing. And as Rabbi had said, in your own words, doing things better, not just improving, but doing better things, transforming. And you have certainly transformed our lives. You have brought us joy, and we love you and wish you everything and hope you go from strength to strength and flourish in your future. Mazal Tov.
Mazal Tov, beautiful. If ever the river of tears was allowed to flow, it would be now. So I am going to offer a blessing to you, Ben. Are you doing all right there, Emma and Ben? Maybe I'm going to have Dad also there. We've done so well. It would be a shame if the Torah scroll slipped now. So on behalf of this, your community, I really recall at Alice and Richard's wedding seeing you for the first time, Ben, this tiny little boy, not knowing that all these years later you would be standing on this bima speaking with such dedication and devotion about your Jewish identity and heritage. And I cannot tell you how much pride you have brought your teacher John and all of us in this congregation. Misha Berach Avotenu Abraham Yitzhak v'Yakov Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yevarech et Bar Mitzvah Binyamin, son of your father's right hand. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel and Leah, bless Ben, who having reached the age of Bar Mitzvah has come up to read from the Torah, to expound its words, to commit to his Jewish identity and inheritance. May Ben continue to study our heritage, to take its teachings to heart, to pass it on to future generations, so that he may be a source of pride to his family and friends, and a worthy member of our community. And let us all say, Amen. Mazal Tov. A reminder, no singing as Dean leads us.
Siman Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov, Siman Tov, 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 Siman Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov, Siman Tov,
page 25 as we are about to close the ark. A final blessing for you, Ben, as we close the ark and move to the next stage in your life as a bar mitzvah, not before you eat your Torah cake made by your dad next door. So a blessing for you, Ben. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May Benjamin Yehuda ben Ilan Yitzhak Ushulamit be blessed as we call on God to bless you and keep you, to turn God's face towards you and be very kind to you, and to turn towards you and give you peace and ease. And let us all say, Amen. And as tomorrow, Tisha B'Av, we read from the book of Lamentations, we read the very last line now. Help us to return to you, O God, and we shall return. Renew our days as in the past. Say, please God, by Oliver. We'll see him back on the bima. Okay, you can rest. You can relax now. So please stay standing as we go to Aleinu, as we prepare to close our service. We are on page 29. V'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. We turn now to Kaddish, as we think of those who are marking and mourning a death and recalling a yahrzeit. We think particularly of Dorothy Lipman, aunt of Josie Kinchin, who died this week. Zichrona livracha. We think also of the yahrzeits that fall this Shabbat, of Brian Aaron, son of Sheila, and brother of Beverly Aarons, of Simon Lazarus, son of Myrna Lazarus, of Lucy Levy, mother of Robert Levy, of Sandra and Gerald Romana, parents of Joel Romana, of Darlene Roper, mother of Robin Heller, of Rachel Rosenberg, mother of Daniel Rosenberg, and of Ruth Shapiro, partner of Renzo Fantoni. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may those who recall and remember their loved ones be comforted in their loss as we say the words of the Kaddish with them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, bi'alma divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayachon u'v'yom echon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Magala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach le'olam ha'omei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithada v'yitale v'talal shemed kudusha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru amen. Let's sit down, and just before we offer Adon Olam, I'm going to ask Beverly Kafka, member of our council, to come on up, and we might need you for one last moment, Ben, but I'm going to vacate this desk for you, Beverly.
Wow, Ben, what can I say? You were amazing, and hearty mazel tov to you and to all your family and all your friends and everybody who's here with you today and online. You read so well and are a credit to your teacher John and all the teachers you've had before and all your family and everybody who's helped you get to where you are today. I'm sure they're incredibly proud of you, as we are as a community. And I know I'm personally looking forward to hearing you help lead the services again in the near future. I'll give you next weekend off though. So on behalf of the synagogue and the council and everyone at FPS, it gives me great pleasure to present to you your Bar Mitzvah certificate made by Josie, which says, Ki lecha latov natati lachem torato al ta'ozovu. A good thing, I have given you a good thing, do not forsake it, which comes from Proverbs. And it's your Bar Mitzvah certificate that says, this is certified that Benjamin Joseph Abrahamson was called to the Torah in the presence of the community to become Bar Mitzvah on Shabbat, the 17th of July, 2021, and that you read from the Parshat Devarim. So, mazel tov to you, and the community will give you a present when you book your Israel tour in a couple of years. We will give you £50 spending money to go to Israel with. So, mazel tov. Thank you. And just a few announcements. As always, we have a very busy week here at FPS. So tomorrow morning in the morning we have Cafe Ivrea. At 6 p.m. there is a talk on African Jewish lives, the Hebrew Igbo of Nigeria. Please look at the weekly email because you need to pre-register for that. On Monday night we see at 7 o'clock the Barnet meeting regarding the Marquez community and allowing them to move into their new premises, and all the support possible is needed for that. So again, please look at the email and log in and join us there. And on Wednesday the 21st at 7 p.m. we are joining the Ark Synagogue with Rabbi Lee Mulstein for a discussion of the work on the Arzenu, the political voice of the left of the Reform, Progressive and Liberal Zionists in the World Zionist Organization. And again, you need to pre-register, so please look at the email for that. And last thing to highlight is that Thursday at 7 p.m. Beit Midrash group are holding a talk by Dawn Waterman from the Board of Deputies celebrating the archives and the Jewish community of Britain. So as you can hear, there's a lot going on in our community and a lot for us to take part in every week. And please consult the weekly email for details of all those events and the others that I haven't mentioned. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Beverly. So under your chair is a little cup of wine or grape juice. If it's still there, we're still trying to find safe and easy ways to access. So in a moment we'll go into Kiddush, but first we end our service with Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Hashem Olam, B'terem kol yitzin nivra Adon Olam, Le'et nasa v'chepso kol, Azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Hashem Olam, B'terem kol yitzin nivra Le'et nasa v'chepso kol, Azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, ואחרי תקלוט הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא אדון עולם והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא וית נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם והוא אחד ואין שני לעם שלו להכבירה אדון עולם בלי ראשית בלי תחתית ולא העוז והמשרה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ית נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וסוחב לי ועת צרה אדון עולם, והוא ניסי, ומנוס לי, מנת כוסית ביום מקרא אדון עולם, אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, עת נשא, וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, בידו אבקיד רוחי בעת תישן בעירה אדון עולם ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא ירא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא עת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון
Let's hope Theo's not speaking for all of us. So just a final blessing for us all, thinking about the moments in our lives. Baruch atah b'voecha u'baruch atah b'tzetecha. Blessed may you be when you come in, and blessed may you be when you go out. Let's stand and offer Kiddush. Anything light-coloured is not whiskey but grape juice, so you know who should have what. And the other, unfortunately, is Palwin's.
What have I got? Oh.
Yeah.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. אמן. לחיים.
And you're doing this for everyone when they nip next door. Those in the sanctuary are going next door for the bar mitzvah lunch, and those of us at home can be making hamotzi over whatever we have.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Those of you in the sanctuary, what we're going to ask is that you move out, you leave your books and your little kiddish cups on the table at the back, and you go out the front door and then turn left round the corner to where you'll all gather together as a family outside. So